Yay, Star Wars fans. This is the Bad Batch review episode. We're the Credible Nerds podcast. My name is Justin, and I have my fellow ARC Trooper with me, Aiden.
Hey, guys.
Glad to be here. Glad to talk Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 2. We're going to be talking Episode 3.
Episode 3.
The Solitary Clone, I believe.
Yep.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good one.
It's been my favorite so far. I mean, we only have 3 episodes, but even out of Bad Batch Season 1, it's top 3, definitely.
Yeah, it was good. The first 2 episodes were good. I liked them, enjoyed them, but this was definitely another level or another direction, I should say.
It's the darker part of the Bad Batch.
Yes.
And I think that's what I like the most. It's after Order 66, and I can't get enough of that spot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this show's going to address a lot of that, the aftermath of Order 66, at least the first couple seasons.
Yeah.
So the Solitary Clone, I'm guessing, I'm assuming I took from this episode that it's Crosshair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are a couple scenes in the episode where he wakes up, he's by himself, he goes to the mess hall, and no one wants to sit by him.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's because of the Camino aftermath. Like, he was there when that all went down. And, I mean, all the clones, of course, would be mad because that was their home.
Yeah.
He was involved in the destruction of it.
Yeah, I mean, he's the odd one out. He's not like them. I mean, they're all clones. They're all the same. And he's a clone, but not really. Mm-hmm. Like, he's different.
A little different, yeah.
Very different. And he's enhanced. I'm sure there was already some prejudice towards them. The way they talked about them in the Clone Wars. Yeah. And when they were introduced, it was always like, these are those guys.
Yeah. And they are always kind of demeaning towards the regs.
Yeah.
Right? Just the normal clone troopers.
Yeah, exactly.
So now they're getting a taste of their own, or at least he's getting a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode to have Crosshair because he is part of the Bad Batch.
He is, yeah.
And for the most part, it's been centering on the main group, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But it was good to see him and where he's at now, kind of touch bases with him and what he's doing. He's stuck with the Empire. He's a good soldier. He follows orders. He does what he's supposed to do. But it comes at a cost.
Yeah, he wants his purpose, but those around him don't agree with his purpose anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that came out in this episode really well. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, so we're going to be talking this episode. So definitely like our video, subscribe to our channel. We're going to be trying to get through most of Season 2 as it comes out within a week. At least I am. We'll see how it goes. Just so you know, my fellow ARC Trooper is actually going to become a trooper, I guess you could say. Aiden's going to be joining the Marines today, actually.
Yep.
A couple hours. And this will be his last episode for a bit. But we'll jump back on when he comes back on leave or something. So.
Yep, I'll be right back podcasting.
Yeah. And you'll have that military perspective that you can bring to the podcast.
There we go.
Say, hey, that's not how we do things in the real world. Or you could say, yeah, that's how it is. Either way. But I want to thank you for serving our country here in the next 4 years. So it'll be good to have that. So we'll try and get someone else on to cover you. I won't replace you because that's not possible. But cover for you. So as far as back to this episode, we are introduced to a main character from the Clone Wars that we haven't seen for a while.
Yeah.
Commander Cody, he's back. What'd you think of his introduction into this story? I
thought it was great. I mean, we saw a glimpse of him in the trailer, but having him here, he's in Episode 3, of Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith. And we saw him as a loyal clone to Obi-Wan, a good friend, and we see in the Clone Wars as well, just Obi-Wan's second in command outside of Anakin Skywalker. Mm-hmm. So he's been around, and he's a favorite character. We saw what happened to Rex and a couple of the other clones, but Cody, we know, executed Order 66. Mm-hmm. He did that. And we don't know what happened after until now. And I like that we got to see a new armor. He got to keep his kind of designs, but it's grayed out and kind of in the Imperial fashion we saw with some of the other like clone commandos and just the stormtroopers in general, if they have color, it's black or gray.
Yeah.
And their armor is clean and white, or it's just mute colors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of cool to see that because it's, you know, it's Commander Cody, but it's Imperial Commander Cody.
Yeah. Yeah. And how long do you think it's been since Order 66 when he is introduced in this episode?
I'm thinking around 2 years.
Oh, really? That long?
I think so. There's a lot of time in between each episode, maybe a year, but enough time to where a lot of the clones are being phased out. A lot of new troopers are coming in with their, I guess, phase 1 stormtrooper armor.
I think we saw some of that in this episode, right?
Yeah, we saw it at the beginning, and then at the very end as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what'd you think of that new look?
I liked it. It gave like a classic sci-fi feel.
Yes, yes.
If I remember right, that's kind of one of the concept arts for what stormtroopers were going to be.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. I was like, I think that's concept art is based on it.
That's what they do a lot. They did that a lot in Star Wars Rebels, and it's the same team working on the Bad Batch. So I think Dave Filoni and a lot of the art directors like to do that. Mm-hmm. We saw that with Darth Vader in Rebels. Now we get to see that again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really cool to tie that in. And they have, with this animation style, they have the freedom to do stuff like that, make those tweaks, and not cost a lot of money to, you know, as it would be in live action, I would think. So, but yeah, I like it. As far as the overview of this episode, there's this planet who was a separatist, part of the separatist group, and they quit the separatists before the Republic fell and became the Empire. I don't know if it fell, but transitioned to the Empire, right?
Yeah.
And so they thought, well, hey, we don't need no Imperial oversight because we're not even we weren't part of the Republic. We weren't part of the separatists. We're not part of the Empire. We're our own people.
Yeah.
So we're going to govern ourselves how we want to. But the Empire has other ideas, so they send a new governor with some troopers to come in and occupy this new planet. They resist, kidnap this governor, and so they send in Cody and Crosshair in a group to kind of take that back and, put the Imperial governor on the throne, basically. And that's what this episode's kind of the main story is, how that happens. And I liked it because I think a lot of planets are like that. You know, thousands of star systems we're in the Republic and now the Empire, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have a lot of planets like that. Are like, hey, okay, cool. Well, we don't care, so we're going to do our own thing, and we're far enough away that you guys don't. We have no benefit of joining you guys because we govern ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of planets that are going to be like that.
Yeah, and Cody said at the very end, there was a quote. He was like, "We both lived through one war. Let's not live another. Live through another." And I think that's the mindset of a lot of planets. They're like, look, you guys had your war with the Separatists and Republic. We don't want to do that again.
We're tired of it.
So they kind of just do their own thing. They're their own government. But I thought it was interesting because they have battle droids from the Separatists.
That was cool.
Which made it feel a lot like the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Where, you have your group of clones where they're going in and doing their thing, fighting battle droids, and they're all saying clankers and
see some droidicas.
Yep, droidicas. Awesome. You see them.
Poppers.
Yeah, exactly. You see the droid poppers, and you got some callbacks to when they're training to fight droidicas, just some stuff like that. It was super cool, all the callbacks to the Clone Wars, because that's kind of what it is right now. It's clones versus battle droids fighting. I mean, it's not a good purpose this time, but
it's an interesting where you're kind of rooting for the battle droids in this episode.
Yeah,
because they're the good guys.
It's weird because you want to root for the clones, but they're the Empire. Those are the bad guys, and these guys just want to be left alone.
Yeah, and I think the Empire. I don't know if it's just. I'm sure it's the attitude of Sidious, aka Palpatine. Like, I'm going to govern everything, so go take care of it. But you think even with planets that are resisting, they would at least be like, okay, well, you owe us, we're going to do some trade stuff. We're going to tax you, that type of thing. If you want to be your own planet, at least give them a chance before they just come in and kick butt.
Right.
So we kind of see how evil the Empire is. It's not, it's not
greed.
it's greed. It's a power hungry. There's no redemptive quality to this empire that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it's all under the guise of protection and freedom and security. But, the Empire is led by a Sith Lord who just is fed by power and strength. And that's how he gets it, is through fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fear and dominance.
Yeah. So I think those because a lot of in Star Wars, at least in the movies in earlier years, it was like, oh, the Empire is cool. They got Darth Vader and all these cool ships and the Death Star, So there is a kind of you could adopt the attitude, oh, these guys are kind of cool. They're the bad guys, but they're cool bad guys.
Yeah.
And I think in this series, we're going to see that they're just ruthless and not good.
Yeah, and you also do see a flip side where, they're the government and they're doing their thing, but also you have these clones, and this was a big part of the episode where they're like, I don't know if I agree with this. And they're still people, but they have to do their thing, follow their orders, because that's, first of all, for the clones, that's what they're bred for. And for later stormtroopers, that's their life. Like, that's how they get paid and support them. And I'm sure not all of the stormtroopers were evil. They're just like, this is the government. I'm, joining the military, supporting my family. So it's that flip side. And you see a lot of clones in this series realize that.
Yeah. I think that'll be a theme moving forward. So I wonder if there's going to be like a big revolution.
Yeah.
Like, like a underground railroad type thing where those that want to get out of, all the clone troopers that want to get out of that system they're in, hey, go here, do this, meet up with this guy and he'll hide you type thing.
Yeah.
Or how that's going to happen. Or is it just going to be Cody? Because in this episode, we do see him have a change of heart.
We see him have a change of heart without getting his inhibitor chip removed, too. So he followed the orders, but now he's like, were those orders good? Like, was that what I was supposed to do? Or we're just killing people now? But it's interesting because you see Cody with his inhibitor chip doubting, and you have Crosshair without his inhibitor chip fully loyal.
Yeah.
So it's both of the opposites of what should be happening, compared to what we've seen in the past where, we have good clones following the orders with their inhibitor chip, and some of the clones' inhibitor chips failing prematurely and killing Jedi like that. It's cool to see that dynamic. And as like with your point with the revolution, I imagine that's going to be something because we have high profile clones leaving. Yeah. You have Rex, the Bad Batch. You had now Cody, and in Rebels we see Wolf and Gregor leaving with their inhibitor chips gone. So that makes me believe that Rex is seeking out clones to convert back to...
Yeah, is Rex kind of the leader of that revolution? That'd be cool to see at some level.
Especially with him and Cody, because at the end of this episode we see him desert. Well, we don't see him desert, but they say that, he left.
Yeah. Were you surprised by that?
I was surprised by that. I was surprised because, like I said, he didn't get his inhibitor chip removed. And also I thought we'd get to see a little more of him just... My prediction on last episode was he would do something where it's like... He kind of did that this time where he's saving someone and choosing to rebel against the Empire and gets shot and dies or something. Dies a heroic death at the last minute like Darth Vader. But we didn't see that. So it kind of makes me wonder if there's going to be like a Saw Gerrera type thing with him where he goes out of the city, out of the government, I guess, and trains a bunch of other clones and people to maybe starts a little rebellion cell. Yeah,
that'd be cool. A clone trooper rebel cell. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Because they would have the training, they'd have the experience.
Right.
They could do a lot of damage. So yeah, I was surprised, kind of like you were, how just all of a sudden, because he was starting to think about it at the end when he's like, okay, we'll come to a peaceful solution. Crosshair shoots the leader anyway, and then he's still thinking about it afterwards, and then all of a sudden he's gone.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, okay. I'm glad, I like that result, but that was kind of quick. But I mean, you got to do things like that if you're in the Empire, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so you also have that scene where they're by the wall again, at the Republic base, the army base, where he's talking to Crosshair, and he's like, is the Empire good? Like, is this what we're made for? And then Crosshair's like, good soldiers follow orders.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think that's when he realized, like, I don't want to be a good soldier then.
Yeah.
So, and I think the end, like I said, the end result was great. That's what I wanted to see anyway. So hopefully we get more of that.
Yeah, I really didn't want Cody to be bad.
Yeah.
Like, you bring in a character like that, I don't want to hate him.
Yeah, because we grew to love him in the Clone Wars, and even Jesse, right? At the end, Clone Wars Season 7, at the end. You're like, oh, dude, what happened to you, man? You're so awesome.
Yeah, because we see all these clones come from the beginning of the Clone Wars. They have actual character development and good arcs, and you see them grow, and you like them. And when you see Jesse, I mean, he's doing what he's supposed to do. So, I mean, you can't blame him.
Right.
But also at the same time, it's like, look, this is your buddy. This is Rex.
Yeah. If anybody, I think Jesse and Rex would have like had some compassion there. So Jesse, we didn't see it, but Jesse died when that ship crashed. Right?
Yeah, we did see it actually when, we didn't see him die, but
we saw the helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Ahsoka was.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd come back.
Me too. And I think that's the best part of the Clone Wars now compared to when it starts, and the Bad Batch as well, is it's so heart-wrenching. You're invested now and you want stuff to happen, but you know it's not going to happen because we've seen all the movies. Yeah. We know some stuff can't happen. Like, every time I watch Revenge of the Sith, I want Anakin to just kill the Emperor and be good, and I'm like, it won't happen.
You can do it in the video game.
Yeah.
You can't do it in the show's not going to change. It'd be cool if they did a what if at some point, but
I've been thinking that a lot, but I think that's kind of what the Bad Batch is. It's like, what if clones don't want to?
Yeah, so as far as Cody, I'm glad he's back on screen, and hopefully we'll see him reunite with Rex. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's going to Rex to get the inhibitor chip removed. So with the inhibitor chip before, when Sidious is like, execute Order 66, they were almost like robotic, like, okay, the soldiers follow orders, do it, but it doesn't seem like that's the case with the other orders. I think it's the inhibitor chip was basically just for Order 66. That seems like it was the thing in mind. So I imagine it's part of that, and that's why the clones were so loyal throughout the Clone Wars. They do mention on Tatooine when they're breeding them that they're bred for loyalty and to take orders and stuff like that. And that's an Attack of the Clones before the inhibitor chip was a thing. On Kamino. So, did I say Kamino? Tatooine.
Oh, yeah, Kamino, on Kamino. So it makes sense that they're following orders, but now questioning them. Because Order 66, that's just the purpose. And you saw that in the Clone Wars, too, where some of them malfunctioned. Early. And now a lot of the clones are like, well...
Yeah. Well, I wonder if it's just like the order is, hey, go do this. They're like, oh, okay. They think about it. They decide to do it. But if it's like order number, whatever, it's like, okay, that's like part of the inhibitor chip pushing them to do it. No other recourse. Yeah. I wonder if it's like, if there's a number attached to it, you got to do it. Yeah. As opposed to just normal.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the case. And also you have these like orders that aren't necessarily like bad orders, or some that are just like, I don't like that. Like in the previous episode where, Commander or Admiral Rampart says, fudge these documents, and then he's like, I'm not gonna do that.
Wilco's like, nope.
Yeah. And that's because that's not really morally right or morally wrong to obey that order.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Well, I wonder if there's like an Order 77. Kill all the clone troopers. Kill yourselves, right?
Yeah.
Kill your brothers. So when they finally, if it starts to go down that path, Sidious can just say, execute Order 77. I'm like, okay. And they just mindlessly, kill each other.
I wonder if that's going to be part of the Stormtroopers arc. Because you have the clone troopers who are Stormtroopers now, but you have the conscripted ones. And with Rampart doubting the clone troopers' ability now to stay loyal, he's like, look, you guys are leaving around Crosshair. What's the deal?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good question.
I wonder if it's going to be where kind of the Stormtroopers start exterminating the clone troopers.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out. That's always been a question in my mind, but now that we're there in the show, it's like, I start thinking about it more, and there's all these like different scenarios that could happen, and it's really interesting.
Yeah.
So
a lot of speculation right now.
Yeah. As far as the governor, I can't remember her name. Do you remember the governor? She seemed like, because she name dropped, what's her name from the Clone Wars? The one boy who was friends with Ahsoka.
I forgot his name. Let me look that up.
Yeah, I think it was his mom, that they were working together, separatists, to stop the war, and they realized it was wrong, or it wasn't going to work, so they left.
I remember that, and Ahsoka was like crushing on him hard.
Yeah. So I wonder if we'd seen her before. I don't think she had like a major arc. I think maybe she was in the background somewhere, a friend of this mother. So that was going on, and so that was cool to kind of bring that history in, to add some depth to this character that we really only see for 10 minutes in the show. And you buy into, there's a good reference point. You buy into the story, like her reasoning and what she's doing, and you root for her, just pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's Mino Bonteri.
Yeah, Bonteri. So that was cool to bring that in. And she also referenced Count Dooku, how he predicted that this was going to happen.
Yeah, that the Republic was going to fall and the Dark Empire was going to rise. I remember that.
Yeah, that was cool. I don't think we'd actually heard that before. It sounded like it was off screen.
Yeah, and that makes sense because, Maul kind of was, he had the same type of visions and revelations. So I imagine, especially with Dooku being Palpatine's apprentice, I think he had more of a glimpse of the whole plan.
Yeah, he knew the plan.
Yeah.
At least he said that in season 7, right?
Yeah. And also you kind of know that in episode 3 and 2 with the Death Star plans on Geonosis. And then in episode 3 when Dooku's about to die and he looks at Palpatine, he's like, what?
Yeah, this isn't part of the plan.
Yeah, he's like, wait a minute.
I know the plan. This isn't part of the plan.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think it's interesting because Maul had visions. So is it the Force? I'm assuming it was a Force vision. So is the Force kind of letting all users, dark and light side users, know, hey, this is what's going to happen to you guys? That'd be an interesting thing to explore in the future.
I think, the Jedi didn't really know about it. So I think it's more the dark side where they're like hungry for power, and the Force is kind of like, look, this is how you get it. Because the Force isn't really light.
No, it doesn't have an agenda.
It has a will, but or they think it has a will, but it just wants to be balanced. So with so many Jedi on one side and so few Sith on one side, I'm sure it just wanted to counter itself. And so it's like, look, Dooku, here's
what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting point. If the Force doesn't care who dies, really, it just wants to be balanced. So that means if it goes the other way, where there's a bunch of dark side users, then they would all die or be killed or something. So that would balance out with the light side.
Yeah, and
I think we see that in Old Republic, right?
Yeah. Lots of Jedi fighting lots of Sith, and then eventually it becomes the rule of 2. But then there's not that many Jedi. And then the Jedi Order rebuilds itself. But yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so it'd be cool to see some Force stuff going on. I think we might later on. That would have to be with Ahsoka, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Not necessarily Jedi, but anyways. So as far as this episode, back to Solitary Clone, it is a Crosshair arc. Do you think Crosshair learned anything, or do we just see more of who he is? Is there a character arc for Crosshair in this?
I don't think there's a redemption arc, if that's what you're trying to ask.
Kind of, yeah.
I don't know if we'll see that for Crosshair, and I don't know if I want to.
Yeah.
I like his character a lot, and I think we all want to see him turn back to the good because that's his brothers go back to the Bad Batch. But I think it would add more depth for him to not just get so bad that it you just can't come back from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, then the rest of the group has to take him out. They have no choices because last season they left him like, we're not going to kill you because you're our brother. So they left him on Camino for 32 revolutions or cycles or something.
Yeah.
Like a month, sounds like. So the next time they can't just leave him. They got to get rid of him. That'd be hard to do for them. Because he's more than just a brother. He's like a close brother, right?
Yeah, like the clones are their brothers, but they're like twin brother.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that would, especially for us, that would be hard to watch. Which is, I think there's not enough truly evil people in Star Wars, and it's always the higher ups in the Empire. You know, the admirals and the officers, and
that's a good point. I think Sidious and Tarkin, maybe this Rampart guy, are really the only true evil. Because Vader is evil, but he comes back. So they're still good in him.
Yeah.
As Padme says. Yeah, Crosshair, I think, would fit that. I think they should keep him evil. Because you got to have a good antagonist throughout the whole series. I mean, you have the obvious ones, the big ones, the big players, but I think he would be good for the Bad Batch to balance them out.
Yeah, I agree, especially with, the Bad Batch being totally disagreed with or disaligned with the Empire. I think it would be cool to have someone totally aligned with the Empire, and that's what we're seeing so far. But I want it to stay that. I want them to go deeper into their alliances.
Yeah, and I think with Crosshair teaming up with Cody, there is an opportunity for him to kind of like, yeah, Cody, you're right. That's a good point. But no, he kills the leader. He followed the orders. And then at the end, he didn't care. And he was asking about Commander Cody, like, hey, I thought it was with Cody. And that made me wonder, well, is he going to hunt Cody down now?
Yeah.
Like, is that why he's asking, or why would he care?
I also, contradictory to everything that we just said, I just remembered this scene at the very end where it's pretty similar to the beginning of the episode where you see Crosshair in his room just looking at his armor like, another day.
Yep.
But after his meeting with Rampart, when he finds out that Cody leaves, and Rampart suggests that everyone's leaving because of Crosshair, you see him in his room again, but this time it's a little bit more somber and contemplative. Looking at his armor, or I think he might be in his armor this time, but he's just on his bed like, am I doing this? Like,
yeah, and that time, the second time, like the first time he woke up because of his alarm.
Yeah.
The second time he woke up right before.
Yeah, he was awake.
Yeah. So like you said, he's probably thinking about stuff like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess if there was a redemptive arc, this would be the start of it.
Yeah.
With Cody planting those seeds in him. But he could start to go down that way. Something happens and then he switches back. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of material there that they could use and play with, and because it does have to last multiple seasons, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it either way.
Yeah.
But the direction that I want it to go is Crosshair being evil. I feel like there's just more conflict to be had that way.
It'd be cool if he kind of built up his own Bad Batch or his own group to hunt down his old group instead of just him all the time, because there's no way he's going to defeat all 4 of them.
Yeah. especially since they never leave each other. They're always together.
Yeah.
And we saw kind of that with the season 1, where he has those dark stormtrooper armor soldiers.
Yeah.
Um,
The humans, the regular humans.
Yeah. But it would be cooler if you found clones that are just clones that are loyal to the Empire and makes his own team.
Yeah.
And kind of keeps it on the down low too.
Yeah. And they took out their inhibitor chips.
Yeah.
So they could do whatever they wanted.
Uh-huh.
So they were like the evil Bad Batch as opposed to the regular. That'd be kind of cool to see that happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think he needs the resources of the Empire. So I don't know.
Definitely.
Maybe he'll just create his own elite squad, and because he does have to like redeem himself from what happened on Kamino, but it sounds like that's happening, or that's with him getting back in the mix with missions and stuff.
Yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily that he hates the Bad Batch. So I don't know if it's necessarily the Bad Batch that it's enemy. It's just his enemy is not having a purpose. And his purpose in killing the Bad Batch was that the Empire told him to.
Right.
And we kind of saw that at the end of season 1, where he's like, I'm not going to kill you. Just go. I'm not coming with you, but I'm not going to kill you. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah. Okay. So he needs the structure. He needs the orders to feel that purpose that he needs.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to just float around doing nothing. I need this purpose. I was bred to be a soldier. I am a soldier.
Yeah. Yeah. We can root for that.
Yeah. I think that's what his arc is going to be, is finding his purpose. Like, am I supposed to be a soldier, or am I supposed to take down the Empire? And what's the difference?
Yeah.
And can he find a purpose in being a soldier outside of the Empire?
Yeah. Because let's say he does make it through the whole thing, through post Return of the Jedi, what's his purpose going to be then?
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope we see more of him. I think obviously he's going to be one of the major players throughout the whole series.
Yeah.
Through the last season. Hope we see more of Commander Cody. Hope he teams up with Rex. He's not in Rebels with the rest of them, the 3 clone commanders in that Walker thing. So does he kind of move on, or does he get killed? That'd be interesting to see. I'm sure they'll play with that.
Yeah, definitely a different story for him.
And then we didn't see Omega in the group, which was fine, but I think they can't do too much of that. Maybe a couple of episodes here and there, but we want to see those guys and what they're up to. Did you miss seeing them for this episode?
Not really.
Yeah.
I think it was a good balance.
Yeah, I agree. But I think you did need to bring in like a Commander Cody.
Yeah.
Like, hey, remember this guy? So it would have to be something big for us to not see the Bad Batchers. So
yeah.
All right. Well, overall, what do you think? What grade would you give this episode? I think you kind of said it at the beginning, but final thoughts and your final grade.
I would give it a 9 out of 10. It was great.
Yeah, I agree. 9, definitely good to see this Cody and where the Empire's at now, what they're doing. Because I think you got to see the other side. We've been seeing the Bad Batch. They're going on these rogue missions, like bounty hunters, basically. But we need to see the Empire and why they're so bad.
Yeah,
I think seeing them so bad in this series helps us understand episode 4 better. I think it's pretty obvious, but I think it just adds and builds up the original trilogy even more when we see how bad the Empire is.
Yeah,
and how much it's just a terrible thing.
Yeah, why they had to come down.
Yeah, because there's those memes and stuff now, like a resistance soldier killed millions of government employees on the Death Star, something like that. And it's like, I know it's humorous, but it's implying that, hey, Luke's a bad guy because he killed all these people on Death Star.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
No, not even. And I think these type of episodes help us see that. Like, yeah, these guys needed to be killed because they're just out of control and they're terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible people.
It's not good.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to more of that. Overall, great episode, and I can't wait to see more. So
Yeah.
we want to thank you guys for joining us here on the Credible Nerds podcast as we talk The Bad Batch. That was season 2, episode 3, Solitary Clone. Can't wait to see the next episode here in a couple days. And I want to thank you guys for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.